All the students who are here, please be honest. How many of you are here by choice? Raise your hand. Awesome. How many of you are here by force? Raise your hand. I love it. I love the honesty in the room. A big round of applause to all those who have been honest. See, I'm speaking from experience, trust me. I didn't know what I was doing till the day I started college. Even then I didn't know, because back in our days that's how it was. I'm sure many of you may have heard this, right? Because that's how it was during our generation, where parents just told us and we did what was told. Times have changed. You all are way more equipped than any one of us. So, without further ado, let's get the ball rolling on why we are all gathered here. My name is Nikhila Matthews. I'm one of the mentors who's supporting Elevate Gen. But this is not about me, this is about Elevate Gen. So I don't want to speak on behalf of them and steal their thunder. I call upon Leanne Matthews to come forward and get the show started. A round of applause to everyone who's here and who will stay with us in the end.
Hi everyone, as you just heard, my name is Leanne Matthews and I'm the Vice President of Elevate Gen. And like many of you, I am a junior in high school. Now, as high schoolers, at least in my experience, I was questioned a lot. And I was expected to have all the answers. You know, where do you want to go for college? What path do you want to go into? What career? How are you applying? All of that. So when these questions came to me, I did what most people do, and I searched things up. And when I searched things up is when I realized there is a lot of information out there, and it's really hard to tell what's actually useful versus what's just not. And so that's how a group of like-minded students and I created Elevate Gen. It's a space for students to network and build their skills. Whether you have your whole future planned out or if you have no plan at all, that's totally fine. We just want to help prepare you for what's ahead. Our goal is not just to guide students with the skills they need in college, but it's to help guide students with the skills they need for their lives. So we launched this platform in July, and with the positive feedback that we got, we met our governor, Brian Kemp, and that momentum helped us move forward with this event that we are doing today. And we hope you all enjoy. Next, I'd like to call on Sai to help introduce our opposite team.
Hi everyone, I'm Sai, Secretary of Elevate Gen, and now we will be welcoming our Elevate Gen officers. Siri, Leanne, me, Sai, Jay, Diva, Angela, and Danish. Next, let's introduce our Leadership Council members. Akshad, Ayush, Nitin, Nikita, and Shiv. We're currently offering more spots for the Leadership Council. Basically, it's an inclusive group where high school students and undergraduates can take on meaningful roles without needing formal titles. If you want more information and want to sign up, please scan this GroupMe QR code or meet us after the event if you have any more questions.
Hey everyone, my name is Siri and I'm the Elevate Gen president. I'm so excited to see so many of you here today. In today's meeting, we will start off by listening to some guest speakers' experiences before diving right into our college admissions workshop. In our workshop, our goal is to simplify the college admissions process and give students the tools that they need in order to get a head start. Thank you so much to all our guest speakers who are here today to help Elevate Gen grow. I'd like to introduce and welcome Todd Jones to the stage.
Thank you, Siri. First and foremost, I was at the Capitol all day today, and yes, it was Tech Day, so this is how you dress when it's Tech Day. You don't go in coat and tie, so my apologies. Please don't think my informality was any way to be disrespectful to the group, but rather we were around a bunch of tech folks, and we ended up at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which was half fun, half business, but we did enjoy our time on the field. But anyways, long story short, I absolutely appreciate the invite, and thank you so much. I've been asked to speak for about 6 minutes, and I want to primarily be speaking, if it's okay, to the younger folks here. Not so much the adults, and by the way, happy to have a conversation, go out, breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever you'd like, happy to have that adult conversation later. But for me, the opportunity to speak to the young generation is super critical. And one of the things I like to talk to them about on their journey, and that journey is going to be a lot of ups and downs. And one of the biggest things I like to talk to them about is the F word. Fail. I know what you all thought, but fail. And at the end of the day, too much of our society today, we're not really embracing the fact that failure is part of the journey. I've been fortunate enough to found 7 companies. 4 of them I've exited, 1 in an IPO, 3 through private equity. 1 is still going on, and right now it's looking really good. I might have my 5th victory, but let me tell you something. It's the 2 that I failed at that learned and effectively gave me the greatest learning opportunities. In my opinion, this 7th one only exists because of what I learned in those 2 failures. So whether or not you're thinking about you should go through an extracurricular activity that you've been thinking about, should you go to a sport you've been thinking about, should you try out for a team you've been thinking about, should you try for a class, should you try for a university that you've been thinking about, ask yourself this: what happens if you don't try?
Thank you all. Thank you, Elevate Gen, for the invitation. After such an exciting speech from Todd, I'm coming in next, so not but hopefully equally exciting. My name is Murthy Rao Pali. I'm a professor of cybersecurity at the University of North Georgia. My research interests are in quantum computing. I think one of the questions I was asked is, what are some of the events that shaped my career moving forward? So I came like any other Indian immigrant comes for the usual education, and the visa, and green card, citizen, getting ready for a senior citizen, etc. But there are certain events that knowingly or unknowingly that propel our careers and our outlook on our life. I would say, because there are lots of youngsters in the room, one of the things I focus very much is on getting technical certifications early in the career. Also focus on higher education, getting a PhD from a very reputed institutions. Also, it's funny, Todd mentioned IBM. I worked for IBM for 27 years, and I learned Bill Gates' name much more faster than I could imagine. The other thing was there are events in life where people ask for volunteers, and they did not hesitate to volunteer in an area I have absolutely no clue about. Why did I do that? It's just an impulse. I just thought volunteering is good, particularly in an area that I have no idea. An example, in about 2015, IBM asked for about 30 PhDs in the company. Anybody interested in joining quantum computing division? And I raised my hand. And they said, okay, all 30 of you will send you to MIT, stay there for 4 months, get educated in quantum computing.
Hello everyone, great to be here. Great to see the students over here. Just want to cover a couple of things, right? I mean, there might be students who might be really bright, but there might be students who are average. There might be students below average and whatnot, right? But I was born in India. I was born and raised in India, and came to and then I did my engineering in India, and then I did my MBA in Canada, and then I came to US 20 years ago. I should say that I'm not smart. I was not smart. I was not intelligent. I was an average kid, but I had the vision of what I want to be at that age, right? Which is, during my second year of engineering, I told myself that, I used to read a lot of books. I used to read magazines, newspapers, particularly English newspapers. I know we speak like native languages and etc. But I was very much, reading the magazines, newspapers. Started with the sports section, and then started reading other articles and stuff, etc. So that's how I gained knowledge, communication, and stuff like that. My dad insisted that I read the magazines, and newspapers, etc. But in terms of studies, I think I was not super intelligent or smart. I was an average kid. I was into sports. I was a cricketer, so I played for under 16 for Tamil Nadu. But my parents gave me a privilege, which is, you can do whatever you want, but make sure whatever you do, just give your full heart. Like, be passionate about it. So that's all I did. I tried my level best in cricket. I could not succeed, but it doesn't mean that it's a failure. But at that point in time, you'll feel like, yeah, I'm not able to get to a certain stage, like Dhoni or even to playing national team, etc. That was my goal. But at that time, I felt really hard to myself. But then I quit cricket, and then I focused on my studies. And then I did my engineering, but still an average kid. Passed out with, I don't know what the GPA is, but 78% out of 100. And then I got a corporate job and studied for 2 years, but I was not satisfied, right? But again, my passion was coming into my mind. Hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. But then I quit, and then I did my MBA. So a lot of my friends said, hey, why don't you don't do this, it's a wrong decision. But I went ahead and did that. Did my MBA and then came to US. Rest is history. And then, but first 10 years I was in my corporate job. And after 10 years in the US, I became an entrepreneur, finally.
Hello everyone, thank you for being here tonight. First, I would like to thank Elevate Gen for partnering with us for tonight and to go through college admissions and how things work in this country. I've been to several of those college admission sessions, and I wanted to make sure that we build something here today that you can take away something and build an incredible profile. A little bit about myself. My name is Vishwa Mudiganda. I'm based out of Atlanta. I grew up here. I grew up in Suwannee for the past, I don't know how long, but I ended up going to my undergrad at Georgia State, studied computer information systems, then went on to do my master's at Georgia Tech, studied computer science, specialized in machine learning, then did a management program from Cornell University. There was a lot of education, a lot of studying, a lot of tests, making sure you get good GPAs, building a standout portfolio, and kind of going out there and leading it and becoming one of the top students. Beyond that, I entered into the corporate career. I worked for AT&T as a software engineer. I worked my way into management and currently work at a place called Genesys as an AI staff product manager. And beyond that, I've also grown and scaled multiple startups, Radish, Chemnu, and Picklespot, all of which have done well, and exited from those companies and co-founded VMotivate with my partner Krishna.
Hi everyone, I'm Krishna, a little bit of different background. I'm actually from Delhi, India. Studied my undergrad at Georgia Tech, specialized in data science, studied computer science, and since then I've been working as a data scientist. And I went ahead to specialize in product management. I always had that bug, no pun intended, of why I'm coding this, why am I building this model, and how it's going to affect the end client. And that's what got me into product management. So then I studied product management at Stanford, was working as the director of product, and very recently quit my job to work on the startup Fuel Daddy and also working on CK Homes and also VMotivate with Vishwa right here. Thanks.
All right, so let's kick it off with, let's just dive right into it. How about that? How many of you here are freshmen? Raise your hand. Sophomore? Couple over there, here. Juniors? A lot more juniors. And how about seniors? All right, a good number of seniors. So there's a little bit of information for everyone out here today. So hopefully we take away something important. So first part is your mindset. Next slide, please. Yeah, how many of you want to get into an Ivy League school or a top 25 school? Raise your hands. We got a couple hands here, a few hands there. There's a lot that goes into getting into these top schools. So let's get into it. And it's all about how do you make yourself unforgettable? What are the skill sets you need to learn? What kind of projects you need to do? What kind of impact you can have on a community to really build up that profile? But at the end of the day, it's not always about building a profile. It's about being a genuine person with a good character, with intent to do something great for the community. The selectivity is real. Let's be honest. Ivy Leagues, the competition is fierce. Imagine every valedictorian applying for every Ivy League school. And even from all of that, about 2 to 4% acceptance rates. This is not including the donor class. This is not including the legacy, which, you know, if your parent goes to a school and your child is going, you would be considered legacy. You actually have a higher chance of getting into those top schools. And if you look at the top 25 schools, about 4 to 15% acceptance rates, that is still really, really tough to crack. Especially when every single one of those students on paper are very, very strong. So how do we stand out? Here are 5 key factors admission officers look for in a profile. Let's just dive right in. First is your academic readiness. Have you really challenged yourself from all the classes that your school provides? AP classes, IB classes, SAT, ACT, even honors courses. Have you challenged yourself to take those upper level courses to improve your GPA?
All right, let's talk supplemental essays. Who here knows what supplemental essays are? Come on, there has to be more people if you want to get into good college. Yes, perfect. So supplementals are essentially love letters to the college. And the whole idea behind that is everyone knows that this college is great, but why are you a good fit? And why should they pick you? And that's what supplemental essays do. So the first thing you want to do is you want to have a hooked alignment. What is it that your passion matches with that college offers? Whether it's Harvard Law School, why is their program so good and how can you benefit from it? That academic fit. You can't just say that I want to go to Georgia Tech because the math professor looks great, he's really good looking. No, you have to say what classes do they offer, what research has that professor done, and how it will help you in your journey. The community contribution, that is huge. Anyone here heard of Christopher Cross College of Computing, Georgia Tech? He is essentially a tech billionaire here in Georgia, went to Georgia Tech. The Kloss Computing building is a $15 million building that he donated. He gave back. My brother just graduated from Georgia Tech this past year. Chris came and he said, for the whole graduating class, I'm going to pay for all of their startups. That is giving back. The community contribution is a huge aspect. And you need to show that you're capable enough to give that back. The bridge line. The bridge line essentially shows that how are you a good fit and how you bring it all together. So for all the parents here, think of it as Shadi.com, right? Your supplemental essay, like the colleges know you're great. Your supplemental essays will say why they're attractive enough and why you should pick them. So that's what it does. All right. You chose a major, but why? I heard nobody here wants to get into computer science, but maybe medical field or something else out there. But why did you pick it? Just last week I spoke to someone, why do you want to get into tech? He says, my dad takes home $300K from Meta. No, that's not why you want to get it. You can't say that. You know, you have to say, what is it that drives you? And I'll give you an example. What is the origin? So think of it as someone who says that this person right here got a cardiac arrest, the EMS team came in, helped save their life. This person meant the world to me. I looked at what the EMS team does. I did research, I studied about it, and that's why I want to get into medical field, because they just saved the person's life who matters the most to me. And then you build on that, right? Same with being a lawyer, same with going into any field, whether it's art or history. Right? You have to show why it matters to you. And there's a method to this madness. What majors can you pick? What classes can you take? Even if it's something like Emory. Emory has a great research program. But what matters to you? Is it cancer? Is it CRISPR theory? And how Emory's program is so big and help you build on that. All right, recommendations and interviews. So recommendations are so important because look, I could say, hi everyone, I'm Krishna, I'm great, but you have no reason to believe me until she says it. And he says it, and he says it, and she says it, and then you'll be like, okay, I think she may be great, right? So it's about who recommends you. You're bringing your story, right? But now it's time for someone else to tell that story for you. You want to make sure that you don't just go to someone that you met like 2 days ago and you're like, hey, can you write me a college of like a letter of recommendation? No, they can't speak for your character. They can't speak for your personality. So you want some teachers who've known you for a long time, and they're just not writing about your grades. They're saying that this kid helps all these other people in class and has great leadership skills. That's the solid recommendation letter. Interviews. Interviews, again, are a huge part of this. Interviews is what helps you tell a story of who is it behind that stats? Who is it behind those ACT scores, those college essays, that GPA, those clubs? This is the person, and then you tell your story. It is such a great chance because you are able to stand out, and that's what you want to do, right? Listen, everyone applying to Georgia Tech is going to have a 4.0, over a 4.0. Everyone's going to have those great SAT and ACT scores. But your interview is going to tell them how you come apart, right? And how you're going to be a great fit for their school. Case studies and wrap up. So we're just going to talk about how you bring everything together. All right, so this is really important, right? We live in a world of brands. So building a brand is the key, right? There's one thing to say that you're a hardworking student, but then there's a whole other thing to build it up and say that you're the first-gen innovator in a local agriculture. And I'll give you a personal example, right? In my family, my aunt, my bua, right? So she was a very hardworking person, and she went to U Boulder, went to college here, and she became an astronaut. And then she worked for NASA. It would probably wouldn't ring a bell. But then I'm going to say that she was the first Indian American woman to go to space. And we think, Kalpana Chawla, brand. Brand is everything, guys. So you want to make sure you build on that brand. You could be an athlete. Doesn't matter. But you could be a resilient team builder who applied that sports psychology to mentor younger players, and college will be like, I'll eat that up. That's what I want. This kid's gonna make, he's gonna go places, or she's gonna go places. So, coming back to how we can help you. This is where we bring it all together. The whole idea is, don't be generic. Everyone watch Wolf of Wall Street? Don't be average. So you wanna make sure you build a brand. And coming to how to build a brand is the key. So you want to make sure you tie your essays, GPAs, supplemental tasks, everything, passion projects. You bring it all together, and that should define you. I'm gonna go ahead and give it to Bish.
Absolutely. I hope you all took away something from this presentation today. Hopefully you picked up that maybe I need to put in a little bit more effort in myself to improve myself. Maybe I need to spend a couple more hours a day to think about what I really want to do for my future. Think about how we can go out there and solve real world problems and gain certain skill sets that you can monetize. So education is one aspect. Going out there and getting real world experience is another aspect. And I think you need to have both to really make the most of your educational journey, no matter where you go. Community college, state college, Ivy Leagues, it doesn't matter. The education is technically the same no matter where you go. It's all about who you're surrounded by. At the end of the day, you are the average of the 5 people you always hang out around. So think about where you are and think about where you want to be and what steps are you willing to take to get to your goals. At Be Motivate, that's kind of what we do. We help students, we motivate them. So, and we help them in 3 different tiers. First, we call it the defense, which is your academics, making sure you get that 4.0 GPA, making sure you get A's in all your classes. Second is the offense strategy, which is making sure that you stand out in extracurricular activities. You're building that real world experience and you stand out from everyone. The goal is not to stand out from everyone. The goal is to build real skills that actually create meaningful impact in your communities, and that in turn compounds over time. I think Todd earlier said this really beautifully. The harder you work, the luckier you get. You can't get lucky if you didn't put in the hard work to be in that situation where that opportunity was around you. So this is kind of how you want to approach life. How many of you here have heard of something called the red car theory? Anyone? Some people have. Cool. So the concept is, suppose you're going to school every day. How many red cars would you notice on an average day? You're probably not thinking about that. You're probably thinking about the test that's coming up. But if I told you, for every red car that you see, I'll give you $1,000. You're probably going to count every single red car on the way. So think of life the same way. There are opportunities all around you. Whether it's an Indian uncle that you know, whether it's your own parents. They have so many opportunities. You just have to ask. You just have to take that first step and break your boundary because you don't know what exists around you. As your awareness grows, you'll automatically start detecting opportunities and you'll jump at it. And that's how you grow in the real world too. When you get those opportunities, seize them. Don't just let them keep passing you like those red cars. Your growth is exponential the more consistent that you are. And I'll leave it at that. And we do offer a lot of those services. We also help with college essays. So if that's something you're interested in, you need some help one-on-one directly. We don't do any group things, so everything is individually catered. So for those of you who need that, go to bemotivate.com. You'll find all of our resources. And if you give the code ElevateGen, you'll get 20% off on everything. And with that, I conclude.
Thank you so much, Be Motivate team. Actually, we want you to stay for a moment just as a quick show of appreciation. Thank you so much. This was definitely very insightful, and I think we all got a lot to learn. Personally, I have a lot of new information in my pocket now, so thank you for that. And we'd like to open this time up for questions that anyone may have for the team.
I think we did a pretty good job.
I guess we answered all the questions. We have a couple to ask you.
Sure.
If anyone has a question, feel free to just raise your hand. We'll bring the mic over to you. Again, look, the whole point is to make this as engaging as possible, so don't look at it as a very formal forum because we are really not trying to set it up that way. We are parents, we understand as parents, we have a lot of questions. Kids, students, we will try not to embarrass you as much, but feel free to voice up any concerns you have. One key takeaway I took from this is not all these are bad. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure, promise don't ask longer questions.
Okay, sure. Ashram.
So as I'm going, you guys can always raise your hand if you have your own questions, but I'll just start off with some that I have written down. To start off, what's one thing you wish every high school student knew about the college admission process?
I think just having awareness of how institutions look at students. Everyone's thinking about checking boxes off, but that's not really what they're looking for. They're looking for you to be yourself and to have intellectual curiosity. What that means is as you progress through your stages, 6th grade to 12th grade, usually the most growth happening in young students, you're kind of figuring out your life. And as you figure out life, what are some obstacles that you come across? And how do you deal with them? Some people have different ways of dealing with obstacles, and they learn in that journey. Admission officers are looking for students who've gone through challenges and how they face them. It's not about you just going out doing 300 volunteer hours and you suddenly get into those schools. It doesn't work that way. It has to be meaningful to you, and it should just make sense. So whatever it is you're doing, don't do it for the institution, do it for yourself, and that story should naturally translate into a college admission.
I was gonna say, and one quick mindset theory that I thought was very important was that don't beg in your application. Like I see that in so many applications, and I'm like, just don't beg. Like don't beg for admission, and don't make them feel like, oh, I really want you. No, it should be that I am so good at XYZ things, and I can have this impact, so you should want me. So change that whole mindset. Does that make sense? So I really wish more people knew that.
Thank you for sharing. It's very insightful. It's much more complex than our time. So really overwhelmed as a parent. My question is, you covered a lot in the your presentation. One piece if you want to share about how many colleges and how to select those colleges. Is there any tips where you share tips on every topic? Is there any golden tips you want to share? How many numbers are good enough, and what is the criteria or selection criteria we should use when we apply those colleges?
Sure. I would say whenever you're looking for colleges, anyone out here, just put it in 3 different buckets. One is your safety school, one is your reach school, and one is your, safety, target, and reach, right? Your safety schools are the ones that, you could submit any scores, but you're gonna get it. That's your safety. If your GPA is 4.3 unweighted or weighted, and their requirement is 3.2, that's your safety. You know you're gonna get it, right? That's one bucket. Then you have your target schools, which is you are just in that arena. You look at a graph, you are right there. Everyone who has these grades are getting in. So that's your reach school. You can still get it. And then you have your reach schools, where you may not have that high of a GPA. You may not have, but your essays are great. You may not have that GPA, but your SAT scores are great. So you want to make sure that you have that balance, and you are still going to try. So whenever you pick, let's say you have 8 colleges that your child has picked, make sure you have enough in the safety, enough in the target, and enough in the reach. So these 3 buckets are really important. And that's how you'll pick 3 reach, 4 target, and 2 safety. And that's the strategy behind it. Do you want to add anything else to that?
Yeah. So this is just basically risk assessment, right? You break it up, very beautifully said, by the way. My minimum, I would recommend is 6, 2 safety, 2 target, 2 reach. So you've diversified your risk evenly, and you know you're going to college regardless, but that's how I would approach that. Great question.
What should be the maximum?
There's no max. It depends how much money is in your wallet. Each application costs a certain fee.
Every application costs money, so.
Yeah, but still on the land, how much?
After a certain point, you know where you're going to get in or where you're not going to get in. So just don't over-apply. Just target certain programs and institutions that is uniquely catered for you, and just apply to those.
But to answer your question, there's no limit. You can literally apply to 30 schools. It's about, the decision's going to get harder when your child gets into 20 schools. So it should really be about what school they want to get into. So be mindful about your choices,
This panel discussion will be led by 2 of Elevate Gen's own mentors, Vincy Matthews, who first came to the U.S. as a student and has built over 20 years of leadership experience in healthcare manufacturing technology. He's a successful startup founder with an exit through Amazon, now leading new AI ventures, while also serving in nonprofit leaderships and managing multi-million-dollar assets, all while being a proud husband and father. And the second person who will be leading this panel discussion is Praveen Puram, a visionary IT leader with over 25 years of experience in strategy, business transformation, and leadership development. He is widely recognized for his media presence as the host of Insight with Praveen Puram, podcast and as senior correspondent for TV5 and Mana TV in the Southeast. Beyond his career and media work, he's deeply committed to community service, supporting initiatives, and supporting the community around him. So we'd like to welcome the rest of our special guests to the stage for the discussion, and I will be handing it off.
First of all, thank you everyone for coming here on a Tuesday and attending this session. So far, you all had a good time and had a good takeaway so far? Yeah. So, as a parent and as a student, right, what do you think the next one would be very interesting? Like today we did for the college admission. And the main agenda focus of Elevate Gen is to create this as a club for everyone, right? So, what, as a parent, what would you see the next topic for Elevate Gen? Internship. Anyone else?
Personality development.
Personality development. Wow, good. Right, that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can do one on immigration.
Immigration. Excellent.
A lot of parents reach out to play.
Absolutely. So the reason I'm asking is because this platform, when Vishwa was telling not spaghetti but spike, right? How can they become spike when they are sitting at home and always focused on the career, right? That's where we thought that this should be different. When you come here, you also start learning from others. You start talking, you start networking. Everyone says that your network is your network, right? So that's the main intention of this. And without any further ado, I would like to ask some of the questions to the speakers. And again, thank you so much for coming here and sharing your knowledge across to the parents and also the students. So my first question would be to Vishwa and Krishna, right? So if the students are interested in computer science, right? There are so many colleges across the country. So how do you ensure, as a parent or as a kid, to choose this in the computer science? AI and quantum computing being the race.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. This is a growing and evolving market. It's very interesting how high schools are banning AI in schools, but reality is it's being used in the market today. So my recommendation for students to get into the computer science space is it is almost a minimum requirement to understand the fundamentals of how AI works, how generative AI works. This is the new Google that we're living in. And you can use that for several things. You can now build apps faster than ever. You can now code websites without knowing all of the depth. You need to know your basic fundamentals of computer science, how object-oriented programming works, how data structures works, at a foundational level. That's enough for you to go out and build solutions to solve problems. But even AI today is not advanced enough to build full-fledged enterprise applications. That's kind of where you still need programmers in the market today to build those high-end solutions, sometimes to even build the new generative AI tools. You couldn't have built that today without the computer scientists. And there's several fields too. Cybersecurity is a big one, and it's growing at a rapid rate. And as more and more, there's ethical hackers and unethical hackers. And there's a lot of vulnerabilities in the market today, and AI is enabling them to make it easier to detect vulnerabilities in certain websites and hacking into those things. So cybersecurity is definitely one of the bigger growing fields. AI is definitely one. Cloud computing is another. AI is all run in the cloud. They have servers. There's hardware involved. You can go into the hardware space. You can go into the software space. So the opportunity will never stop. It's just, are you willing to innovate with the time? And I'll leave it with that.
And when picking a school, you will just look at, like if it's robotics that you want to specialize in. After you realize what you want to specialize in, MIT has great robotics program. If it's supply chain management, Georgia Tech has great programs. So again, just tying back, whatever specialty you choose, make sure the college offers great programs for that. And that's how you would pick a college.
Thank you, thank you. My next question would be for Mr. Murthy. right? You being a research assistant in the quantum computing, right? So what is an entry point for all the kids here? How do you start, right, in their career, in their high school itself? What would be the entry point you would suggest?
Thank you, good question. I'm not a research assistant, I'm a professor of cybersecurity and quantum computing. How many of you heard of quantum computing? Just raise your hands. Okay, good, that's good. That's a much better awareness than I see at the college levels. I'll just give a 2-minute pitch on what is quantum computing and then I'll answer the question. So, quantum computing is not Tesla versus a diesel car. Quantum computing is more like the best design of candlelight is still inferior to the earliest design of a light bulb. We're talking completely new paradigm of computing. So quantum computing works on the principles of quantum mechanics. Our entire universe is built on quantum mechanics. We build classical computing on our own zeros and ones. But the quantum computing works on probabilistic theory. We are used to deterministic lifestyle. If I flip this switch, guaranteed the light bulb comes on. If I do it 100 times the light bulb comes on. But in quantum computing, it's not probabilistic. So for example, I know a lot of computer science students are here. Let's say I have 1,000 file cabinets in this room. And I ask you to write a Python program to find a particular file folder in which cabinet it is. You can write a program that deterministically says file cabinet 175 has the answer you're looking for. If I ask the same question to a quantum program, it might give 175 first time you run the algorithm. Second time it might give 180. So quantum programs are run multiple times, 500 times. And this mathematically statistical favorite tends to be 175, which is what we do. That means it's a probabilistic world we will be transitioning ourselves into, not deterministic. Are we losing control because we are talking about probabilistic? It's not about losing control, it's about embracing a deeper kind of logic, AI logic, where the cause doesn't guarantee the effect. It influences the range of outcomes. So the algorithm exists. It's a probabilistic algorithms, not rule-based. So quantum is known as rule-based uncertainty or structured unpredictability. Having said that, let me come to the question. Sorry, it took a little longer. So how do you get involved? Quantum computing is a very complicated, complex subject. So I think I learned personally a lot from listening to Vishwa and Krishna. The intellectual curiosity is the first starting point. And there are lots of programs. We are beginning to introduce quantum computing for high school kind of programs as well. Start learning, not a deep technical journal, just learn about the story of quantum computing. What are qubits? How is it different from classical computing? And read some papers. There are excellent magazines for the beginners as well. My personal view, I totally agree with Vishwas that cybersecurity is a leading. I'm a professor of cybersecurity myself. But 4 to 5 years from now, where we call the Q-Day effect. Q-Day is the day when the quantum computers become powerful enough to break the cybersecurity encryptions like RSA and have an impact on AES, DES. This is all, I'm sorry, I'm talking about cybersecurity jargon. That's the day when quantum computers could break these existing technologies. So I know somebody mentioned internships. So there's an Oak Ridge National Laboratory in Tennessee, not too far from it. They do have internships for quantum computing. So NSA has some internships for cybersecurity. So maybe that's the one area to get into the quantum world, just starting into these internships. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murthy. That was great insight. Any aspirants to go into quantum computing here? Any students? No? No, you are Excellent, excellent. So the reason I'm asking is because we have the professor here, we have the research assistant, so please utilize you talking to people and make your career spike. Absolutely. So one more question I would like to ask and then pass on to Ramesh, Mr. Murthy. Being a research assistant, you have seen the corporate world and came into research. First of all, I wanted to ask what is the reason and what is your suggestion for the students to have that research mindset? What is important to have that research mindset?
Sure, thank you. So as I mentioned, I was with IBM for 27 years, about 4 years with Honeywell Corporation. Honestly, I always had an idea of going into academia and teach. I always had that passion even when I was really young. And having a PhD, it helps. It's not that difficult to get into universities with the industry experience. But honestly speaking, I was quite happy as an executive role in Honeywell Corporation. One day they decided everybody started coming to office every day. And I live in Cumming and they're in Midtown. Honestly, that was the trigger point. Maybe this is the time, this is the calling. And at the exact time, the position opened for a professor opportunity and just the time and planets aligned. But it was always at the back of my mind. It's not a question of if, it's only a question of when. The question of research, so some of us are very good in business, some of us are very good in industry, some of us are very good in research. So we all have our strengths. So just, I think, channelize, as Bishop beautifully put it, channelize your strengths. And the researchers may not be for everybody. It's not necessarily everybody needs to get into research. So you'll have some opportunities, but if research is something that sparks some interest in your mind, you start reading journals, having a mentor who could guide you in publishing papers, or getting some patents, attending conferences worldwide. You don't have to be speaking at a conference, you can always attend it, and it's kind of an expensive proposition, but I learn a lot by attending conferences all over the world. Whether I speak or not doesn't matter. But that's some of the ways you could get into. Even at the undergrad level at the university, I strongly encourage students to publish. Actually, yesterday we had a symposium called RAITE Symposium. It's about AI. And I've seen a lot of young people like you from all over the United States come and present in the Laniga campus. So keep an eye on these various undergrad kind of research symposiums and conferences that happen, and feel free to attend. These are not very expensive. Most of them are free if you're a graduate resident. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murthy. And now I'll ask the question to Mr. Ramesh. Today's world, especially this year, a lot of uncertainties in the policies, which impacts the job market. AI coming in, there is an impact in job market. So, you being an entrepreneur, right? This is a question to all the parents and also the students, right? In this environment, if you were to give an internship, what would you choose some of the qualities from them? And how do you select them as your intern?
Okay, to me, I think we have a couple of interns. One thing I really see is the simple, honest, down to earth, being realistic, being transparent. That these are the qualities, and that's how I build my team. Because I strongly believe that whoever is down to earth and honest and humble, I think skills would come automatically. And they need to work hard, right? It doesn't matter what skills they have. I have a couple of interns where they came in and amazing people, very simple, right? Humble. What I do with them is that matters, right? It's easy to get an internship, but how do I get best out of them? That's more important. So how I did it is, I don't give a task. I tell them, whatever I give, you own it. So, by taking the ownership, they figure out a way to get things done, right? Also, it comes from leadership, right? So, I'm always approachable, and that's how my leaders are. So, Kalyan is also here, my co-founder, and that's how we built this team, because you, as a leader, you need to be approachable. No one should have a fear of talking to you as a leader, right? That way, so if I'm hiring an intern, then they come, they freely talk to me. I'm telling you, like, I ask a lot of advices from interns. Believe me, they're really smart. And I take their word also. Like, hey, you know, one of the intern, Ananya, who works for me, does a marketing design and stuff like that, digital marketing design. And so she does a great job. But you need to motivate them, right? And then I asked her, okay, so you know, we need to send this by tomorrow. Does that look good? You want to proofread it? I asked them, like, do you want to read it? Is this good? So that's the right way to motivate them, and you know, and they feel that, oh my God, like, you know, he's asking me, so which means I'm really worth it. Like, so it's just not about, you know, intern joining in a company. They could even do an internship in IBM, Meta, but are they getting valuable advice? Is it really valuable to them, right? But believe me, my interns would have learned a lot compared to Meta or any other companies, because they see the leaders, what they do, and as a team, it's a small team, so we have like 40 employees, right? In US we have 10, and India, Western India, but so it's a small team here. So they see as a small group how we are engaging as the leaders and how we are building this company, scaling this company. My interns have been like 8 months. They've seen how we are scaling now. So that's something, a big way to learn. They don't learn anywhere else.
Absolutely. I echo with you, Ramesh. So here the takeaway is we should be transparent, simple, humble, trustworthy. Technology can be taught, right?
Absolutely.
And make yourself some time, be persistent. That's what the takeaway. With thank you so much for all the answers, and I will hand it over to Vinci.
I know it's very late. Thank you for all those questions and answers. I'm super hungry. I'm sure you guys are also hungry. I had a question. I was wondering though. Can I see a show of hands on like who is going into healthcare versus tech? Let's say if you want to put it that way. Who's more health? I see healthcare there. Anybody in healthcare? Healthcare. All right. Now I want to see who's on the other side. Like who's tech, non-healthcare. Oh, okay. Looks like it's more a healthcare crowd today, right? And that's a trend that I'm seeing. Is it because we are scared of AI, or is it just because we think doctors make more money? That's what I keep hearing, which is fine. Either way, it doesn't really matter. But I hope it's not for the money. So I'm going to start really quick. The question I have is, since there are a lot of healthcare students, my question to you guys would be. All right, so there are going to be doctors or nurses or PAs or physicians, whatever. So do they also have to get into this tech race? And what does AI have to do with doctors? Do they have to learn programming? Do they have to go to computer coding? I'll let Ramesh answer that. Just keeping time in mind, I know we are late, so let's keep the answers as brief as possible to the point. Thank you, Ramesh.
Sure, thank you. So I have my clinical team headed by Daniel. He's my co-founder. He's a surgeon. He's based out of Brazil. And we have 3 more doctors in India. So they are MDs, but at the same time, see, healthcare, there's two avenues you can go, right? One is you can go practice, right? That's one avenue. Second, you can go into the research. So that's where our doctors are. They're into research, but at the same time, they want to work on the tech as well. So believe me, the algorithm, the AI model, what we have built is a deep learning model, right? So one of the doctor, his name is Dinesh. He did his MD in India, but he was amazing technology guy, unbelievable, right? So he worked with Kalyan and very closely, and he had a lot of ideas in terms of clinical data and stuff like that. That's how we started building it. Because when we built this, 4 months we were breaking our head. Because we as the founders, we had the vision, but that vision we were not able to translate to the employees, right, to the doctors. So the doctor helped us to build those data, the clinical data, and that helped us to build the AI model. Right.
So I think a takeaway or question I would have is, so even the healthcare aspirants could look into a tech, office or a company.
There is a lot of opportunities for the healthcare tech. That's one of the areas.
So this is something that you guys can take. It's not like you guys only have to look at doctor office or a hospital if you need internships or programs like that. If you are tech savvy, make use of it. There are people like these who are looking for information and help. So thank you so much, Ramesh, for that. The next question I think I would ask is to Mr. Murthy again. Thank you for all the answers that you gave so far. I think the question is I want to ask more about cybersecurity and AI that's coming up tomorrow. So there's a lot of talk where people are saying there's not going to be any more entry-level jobs. And if that's the case, what am I going to do after college, right? Somebody has to give me my first job so that I can get to become that CEO or whatever I want to be. So what do you have to tell to those kids who are going to college or getting out of college?
Well, I don't agree with that. That's not going to be entry-level jobs. That's my philosophy. But the type of jobs may be different. I definitely think cybersecurity is quite a promising area. But the differentiator is probably the biggest thing. If everybody has a bachelor's degree in cybersecurity concentration, then how do you differentiate? Right? Boils down to that. One of the things in cybersecurity they look for is technical certifications. There are many, CISSP is one certification. The new emerging is something called CMM, so I'm throwing a lot of acronyms at you. It's called Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification. So if you're familiar with the NIST standards, so the Department of Defense has come up with the new NIST standards for anybody who wants to do business with the federal government, which is a $780 billion market. And they're all looking for CMMC certified professionals, and there are very few now. So by the time you graduate, if you have cybersecurity as your concentration, that's another area you can choose to get into these certifications. If quantum is something that attracts you, maybe that's another area. So there are problems.
So there is still hope. I still get a job. Yeah. Awesome. All right. That's something good to know. Okay, I'm going to probably round it up over here. I'm going to ask Vishwa and team and Krishna one last question. Getting into college, obviously, that's why we are all here. How early is early, and how late is late? Like, I got a junior and I got an elementary. Like, can I put her with you guys? Or how does that work? Like, how early should we really start? And I do have a serious question on how late, because I just met a student there. They just moved from India. He's a senior right now. I mean, he didn't get a chance to do any co-curricular activity, no DECA, no FBLA, no HOSA, nothing, right? So what does he do? Go back to India? No. So can you please quickly elaborate on what are his options as one example, and how early is early, because when I tell my kid, hey, you're getting into high school, start that, process, she's like, no, I just got in, I got plenty of time. Please.
I'm happy to talk about the timeline. She can talk about the international students. So regarding the timeline, how early is early? I would say you need the student to have enough time to identify their intellectual curiosity. So identifying their domain. So using 6th grade to 9th grade is the ideal time to figure out your passion, where you want to go. And the rest of
6th grade. Any 6th graders here? Go ahead.
Yeah, and then around 9th to 12th grade is when you dive deeper into those topics. So you're spaghetti in middle school, you become a spike in high school. I hope that helps.
Yep, perfect.
Yes, and for anyone coming from India, there's still strategies that we can do in terms of whether it's, again, taking that essay and changing that whole game plan to how you can use that to your benefit, right? Whether it's essays, and then you're saying that, how do they build on that? It's going to be all the experience. We're going to have to take a 9th to 12th grade experience in India and then build on that. So, we strategize with them based on those years.
Awesome. I think what somebody else might look as a disadvantage can become your advantage, and I think that's the point that you're trying to make. Awesome. That was great. Thank you again, panelists, for coming over here. A round of applause to everybody here, including you and the panelists. I'm going to hand it over to the next time.
One side comes up, I'd request you all to just stay back, right? Because so Sai is coming up to do a vote of thanks. We're closing up soon. Shortly after that, of course, we have some food for all of you. And I would request each of the guests to just sit at a separate table, so this way, depending on the field, the area of expertise that you have, parents can come and talk to you. What else? And then just a reminder, use the code ElevateGen and you will get 20% off working with the team. Be motivated. There is tons of knowledge that they have shared. Me personally, as a parent, we all, I think, tend to think we can do this on our own, but not having the experience here is putting us at a disadvantage. So let's lean on the experts to help our kids.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being here and enjoying this event. A special thanks to our guest speakers for sharing their valuable insights, and to our sponsors: Celebrations Banquet, Spearsoft, Ideology Media, TRNR Foundation, Georgia Clinic PC, V-Motivate, Superbot, and Milgreaves. Most importantly, thank you to our mentors who have been there for us since day one: Praveen Puram, Lakshmi Mandavali, Nikhila Matthews, and Lindsay Matthews. Thank you.
Just wanted to add a few more companies who have sponsored, like GenAI Healthcare, Marvika, and also D3 Minds and Motivate 8, right? Without them, we couldn't have done this. And Celebrations Banquet, right? This is the banquet which is the space where we are doing all this elevation. So please give a big round of applause to all of them.
Yeah, and I think with this, we are winding up the event. I would request all the officers to just come forward so that we can get a picture with our guests before they leave to address your questions. In the meantime, we will also have the teams help you all. Feel free to talk to one another, grab a slice of pizza, and we will let them back down to discuss with you further. So, thank you once again.